I love the power of stories because stories can take a moment that happened in our childhood and carry it forward to impact our lives 40 years later. The story in question happens when I was 8. I was 8 years old, and my parents had left for the weekend. All the best stories happened in my childhood when my parents were gone for the weekend. My oldest brothers were not watching us, and I was with my brother Kevin. I was having some anger issues at the time. I do not remember at the moment in question why I was angry. It could have been because my brother Kevin said that the white car was his when it was clearly mine. Could have been that he remembered which Halloween costume he wore wrong. He could have just sneezed on me. I don't remember what happened. But what I do remember is that I was angry, and in my anger, I reached out to the nearest heavy thing that I could find, which happened to be a D-cell battery, and I whipped it at his head. Whew. And realized I'd made a terrible mistake. Because directly behind my brother Kevin was my mother's glass china closet. The antique glass china closet. The antique glass china closet full of my mom's favorite possessions with curved glass, leaded glass up at the top. And I had one hope, but my brother ducked. So I watched in horror as the battery sailed through that curved glass, smashing multiple teacups and plates. And I had a serious problem because my parents were gone for the weekend, and it was not Sunday morning. It was not Sunday afternoon. It was Sunday evening when this happened, and they were going to be home any moment. So my brother and I immediately started trying to figure out what our answer was to give to the Court of Parental Appeals to explain how this had happened. Earthquake? Wouldn't work. We were in Illinois, tornado, they wouldn't believe it. They could look at the weather apps. We tried to talk about if one of us would take the blame. Neither one of us wanted to take the blame. So the only logical choice was to blame it on our cat. I know, you're thinking a cat can't throw a battery. We knew this. But if the china closet is here, right next to the china closet, there was a buffet. And on top of the buffet was a rock that happened to be shaped like a human foot. It had broken in half some years later, and the cat wasn't supposed to be on the buffet. And when the cat got on the buffet, we shot at it with this little rubber cat scat gun. That's what my mom called it. And it would do that like cartoonish thing with its feet. So we came up with the story. The cat was on the buffet. We shot it with a cat scat gun. It woo-woo-wooed the rock into the buffet, or into the china closet. So we carefully took the half of the rock, placed it in the china closet just as my parents showed up. We thought our plan was flawless. We forgot to remove the battery. My parents are pretty good sleuths. They found the battery. They challenged us. I had to come clean. At the time, now we look at this as horrible child labor. I had a paper out at 8 years old. I was making money. My father made me pay for the broken glass. It was $800 to get it fixed. I was indebted servitude for over a year, but finally got it fixed. It was my mother's favorite piece of furniture. So fast forward, it's 40 years later, and my mother has just passed away. And she had taken advantage of the idea of Swedish death cleaning. She knew she was going to go eventually, so she'd slowly been letting go of things and promising things to people and putting people's names on things. And my mother had told me years ago she wanted me to have the china closet. The problem was she also told my niece years ago she wanted her to have the china closet. So we were sitting and talking about it, had been promised to two people, and ultimately my brother said, you know, she promised it to both of you, but you have the better story. So I'm not saying when you go home for Thanksgiving this weekend that you should intentionally break an heirloom item with a good story so that eventually you'll inherit it. But I'm not saying that.